Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is episode number 439, and this is Stephen Zimmer broadcasting to you live out of central Kentucky, Lexington in particular. Welcome. It's going to be a great show tonight, everyone, and I can't wait to bring on tonight's guest. Definitely one of my favorites in our writing community in this region, and definitely somebody whose name is going to be, I think, internationally known soon enough with the caliber of work that they put out. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. Looks like the chat room is open and starting to get some folks in. At LJ Mack, welcome, and of course Carol Free Flattish. And it looks like the loquacious, the vivacious, the wonderful Holly Phillippe from very close to me, in a matter of fact, about within 20 feet of me, actually has just come in. So, hello, Holly, my
Yeah.
loyal and amazing better half and co-host. How are you?
I ain't been better the past couple of days, but I feel better today. So, yeah, I'm starting to get a little feisty again. So,
Yep, I know. When you start getting louder and feistier, we know that you're improving.
I feel better.
That's definitely true.
I have what people know. I'm not sick with like a virus, guys, but no, I have fibromyalgia. And some days you wake up feeling like you're going to die, and that was yesterday. And today I've pulled out of it some, and so yeah, I made dinner and got the dishes done. The kids are fed, and they're out there watching wrestling, so all is well.
Yes, yes. And
So,
they're having a good time watching wrestling tonight. And a matter of fact, we're not going to say who it is, but we got our fingers crossed. But we are actually
yeah,
working on a somebody that is a wrestler with one of the major
professional.
promotions
Yeah,
to come to Imaginarium. So hold on to your hats, folks. We might have something in the works to tell you about maybe about a week. So can't say
Moon is going to
too much
be
yet.
very
Moon,
excited.
he will be over the moon.
He will be over the moon. Doug Guillory, Purple
all
Wayne.
the
Yes,
all the rest of them.
they're all going to be very excited.
Going to be ecstatic,
Stephen
but
Shrewsbury, Carrie Cassidy. Yeah.
Carrie Candidacy, she's
Hmm.
Carrie will definitely be stoked. I know that, but we'll have to see. Fingers crossed. It's not confirmed yet, but it's promising. I'll say that.
I'm
And
working on it.
yeah, looks like Sandy Lender has entered the chat room. Sandy Lender, the genre blender, and Sandy put out a vintage photo today on X. I saw a notification and I saw Sandy found a photo from the convention where I first met her way back
Oh my
at
God!
DemiCon, when the first time I ever met Sandy, and so that was about 2010ish, I think, somewhere around there. But she actually
Wow.
found a picture of the two of us on a panel and put it out there on X. So, and probably whatever, maybe she put it out some other platforms, but I did see the notification there, and I thought that was great. Oh, that brought back good memories, though. Yeah, that's the first time I met Sandy. So, what a cool photo, and from Sandy's vault of memorabilia and archives, or whatever she got that from. But yeah, that was cool. That was cool. I enjoyed seeing that. And speaking of Moon, he just came in the chat room. DL Hearn.
Oh man, we got
Yes.
stuff in the works that you're gonna
Yeah, we do.
enjoy.
We do. Yeah, we can't confirm yet, but yeah, we do have
Nope.
something cool in the works. And that does bring me to, yes, we do have some cool updates for you all. Of course, the Star Chamber show is affiliated with the Imaginarium convention, and definitely definitely want to bring you all the latest news on the convention and Star Chamber show. By the way, if you are on Instagram or Blue Sky, those two platforms, we just started Star Chamber show accounts on both of those. You can find them at the handles Star Chamber Show. So easy as it gets. Star Chamber Show. Nothing separating the words or anything. Straight up Star Chamber Show on Instagram or Blue Sky. So you can also follow us on those platforms and keep up to date with all of our activities with the podcast. But tonight, we do have some good updates for you for the last week. We have a new spotlighted guest, and we have 4 new panelists that we've welcomed aboard. And I will say that this is great. We've got one person that has never been to Imaginarium before, and then we've got a few names that you will recognize for sure. One is author, screenwriter, artist, podcaster, musician, and actor Stephanie Lanham. And yes, she is very multi-talented. talented, does all those things. Recently had her debut book come out, and really looking forward to having Stephanie come aboard again as a panelist with us. And then also filmmaker and actor Kathleen Ashcraft. And she's really awesome and really goes above and beyond behind the scenes with us on our staff and helps out with some of our major guests. I mean, she's been great. But yes, she's going to be on as a panelist. And then for the first time at Imaginarium is author, publisher, and engineer Elira Kaufman. So I'm really excited to have Elira joining us. She's also going to be in our expo. And then the amazing author, Misty Parker. Great to see her back as a full official panelist again. Very excited. Definitely another one of Holly and my favorite folks from the writing community around here, and definitely excited to have Misty with us. And then we have a new spotlighted guest we announced, and this is one I know Holly is very excited about. But author and podcaster India Oxenberg, and
Yes.
she is really, really amazing. And if you ever heard of the NXIVM cult, uh,
Yeah.
she she was once in it, and she executive produced the critically acclaimed documentary series "Seduced Inside the NXIVM Cult" for Stars. And then she also produces the Still Learning podcast and is one of the founding members of Helix 180, which is an online healing hub for recovery. And so, yes, it's definitely a
And
amazing.
Seduced, it is on Stars right now, so you can go and watch it and check it out.
Yep, yep. You can definitely see India and see what all that was about, and yeah, definitely a very, very interesting story about yeah, being inside a cult and then getting free of it. So check that out. But yeah, she'll be coming to Imaginarium, which we're very, very excited about. So, so Holly, do you have a? Oh yeah, and then a reminder, of course, Ward's Banquet dinner tickets are available. Those did become available last week, and so yeah, you definitely. We only have about 100 plate seatings, so you definitely don't want to wait too long to get those, secure those sooner than later.
Nope.
They do sell out every year, and they sell it a little
Yep.
earlier every year. So there's already many of those spots have already been claimed. So definitely, yeah, look into that. And I think that's all I have as far as updates. Anything from
I
your end,
think that's it. And I've had a very weird week, so I just wanted to make sure that they knew about the buffet and yes, our
Yeah.
new additions. And sounds good.
Awesome. Awesome. So, yeah, we're all caught up to there. So, we'll go ahead and give the spotlight to the two folks that brought you tonight's show. And it's the dynamic duo of one, Ren Garcia, and then also Sandy Lender, the genre blender herself. So, we're going to give you a little bit about Sandy with her outstanding novel, Silver Bells, first. And then we'll give you a bit about Ren, but definitely give this one some attention. Buy this book. It is excellent. And tell Sandy you heard about it on the Star Chamber show. But here, we'll hear about it from Sandy in her own words.
What happens if you schedule a Krampus movie on the Hallmark Channel? You get Silver Bells from Sandy Lender. The reviews are coming in for this new holiday horror, and readers are loving the mature female lead and the spooky Christmas setting. BestThrillers.com gave Silver Bells a highly recommended rating, saying, through striking visuals, Reindeer Creek reads like a mashup of Washington Irving's haunted forests in The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the greed-induced decay of Pottersville in It's a Wonderful Life, and the glitzy electric spectacle of The Great Christmas Light Fight. Grab your copy of Silver Bells by Sandy Lender today.
Thank you, Sandy, and definitely, folks. Yeah, pick that up. It's a great book for the holiday season, and it's got so many elements in it. Not just a horror novel. Definitely, you'll appeal to all you folks who like mysteries and thrillers. And here's a little bit about from Ren with the famous question that we love to answer. Here you go, Ren.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Indeed,
Yes,
we are, Ren.
indeed
We
we
are
are,
weird.
Ren. We are. And so before I bring on tonight's guests, I do want to also give a shout out to the fine folks at the Bullitt County Authors Fair. Holly and I had the pleasure of going there this past weekend in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. We had a great time. Thank you to Leah Pugh and Daniel Hildreth and everybody that was put on great hospitality. They gave a great lunch. I gave up my lunch spot so young Bentley could have lunch, and so Holly and Bentley got to have the excellent lunch that they provided. But yeah, they were just so hospitable and took really good care of us and very well organized, and we had a blast. Got to see a lot of folks that we really love seeing. Of course, the amazing Dan Klestad, Lynn Tincher, who I was on a panel with on indie publishing, and that went really well. We really enjoyed that discussion, and
And
then
we
also
sit by Dave Creek
Dave Creek, and AJ
and Brittany
Spencer,
Marlin.
Britt Marlin
He
came by,
sit with us a long
yeah,
time.
and Irv Klein was there, and Amy
Yes.
McCorkle, Missy Goodman, and yeah, Peg Fields. We finally got to meet her in person. Lots of great folks. It was a great time, and definitely want to express our gratitude, to everybody involved, and look forward to next year. So yes, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on tonight's guest, and definitely for me, it's very exciting because it's somebody I like a whole lot, and somebody Holly likes a whole lot, and he is the author of over a dozen books and novellas. Currently lives in Indiana, and he also writing exclusive content for his Patreon supporters when he's not writing his horror and fantasy for Right Crowd Publishing. So coming on to the Star Chamber show for the very first time, but not to Imaginarium for the very first time, we've seen him there before, is the one, the only, the amazing J. Patrick Lemarr.
Wow,
And here he
I
is.
am totally not deserving of that intro, and I feel like I'm underdressed even though you can't see me.
What's the
Well,
advantage
I'm
of
in
audio?
pajamas.
Yeah.
So
That's the advantage of an audio podcast. I'm sitting here actually wearing an Imaginarium T-shirt, and not too dressed up, but
We
yeah,
can't
that's fine for audio.
it's not an advertisement if they can't see it though, Stephen.
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's hard to do product placement visually on an audio podcast. But great to see you again, or hear you again. Just
Yeah,
saw you not too long ago up at Lynn Tincher's bookstore from the Ground Up Books in Shepherdsville,
what a great
and
bookstore that
had it.
is too.
Yeah, it is a great store, and love seeing you there. And definitely, we've been looking forward to having you on the Star Chamber show. It's something that's been long overdue, and yeah, great to have you tonight. Talk about all your books and
Well,
everything that's going on with you.
it's great to be here. I tell you though, listening to you and Holly talk about all the things that are happening, just watching from the sidelines, knowing what you guys do to make Imaginarium happen every year, it's kind of intimidating. You guys, you guys have so many plates spinning at all times.
Yes.
Uh, and I have to say, I'm a big admirer of just the tenacity and the willpower that it takes to make that happen. And I know I'm not alone in that, but
Well, the secret is simply that we don't think of the totality of it, or we get overwhelmed.
Yes.
You just go week to
Little
week,
at a time.
like
concentrate
Little at a
we
week to
time.
week, do what you need to do. Get your goals for the week done, and then move on to the next. And
eating
Yep.
that
and yeah,
elephant one bite
it's
at a time.
it
Yeah.
really is.
That's it.
It's really the secret. Yeah, but
That's it.
it is a year-round project, of course, now. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Really do appreciate that. And yeah, it is exciting, and I enjoy the fact that every week we have new stuff to share. I mean, every week we got new
Yeah.
folks to talk about, new additions, new everything, and
We have a
so it's
lot of new faces
cool. Yeah,
already. I mean,
a
it's
lot.
so
Yeah,
early yet, and all these new faces coming out of the woodwork from, I mean, states far and
state,
near,
state.
Sure.
everywhere.
We just
Some
landed
amazing,
we just got our first vendor ever from Israel. Just came on
yeah,
board last week.
bizarre,
Yes,
That's
we have a vendor from
literally.
Israel coming in. I am not kidding you. It's great.
that's
They
And
do
amazing.
some
so yeah,
sort of teaching on book marketing
yeah,
and all this. It's a business. So I
yeah.
said they must be doing a like US tour or something. But
Mm,
when that come in, Steve's like, "Is this for real?" And went digging, and
yeah,
yeah, they're for real. And
for real.
their payment
That's
and
great.
everything came through, and we're like, "Wow!"
That's
So
awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I just
so
love the
cool.
fact that it's becoming more international. We've had
Yeah,
international attendees. We certainly get a few from Canada every year, and
yeah.
we've had guests
Chile.
from Chile and Kenya. We've had to do
Yeah.
letters to embassies. We've had to do all stuff for
Hmm.
customs before, and but yeah, to actually get a vendor from Israel. I mean, I think yeah, that's a
Pretty cool.
leveling up. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
Well, even before I ran into you in Shepherdsville, I say ran into, I went there on purpose to see you guys. But even before I got
totally
the,
random encounter. Totally random
that's
encounter.
right, yeah. But even before I got the postcards and the bookmarks from you guys to let people know about Imaginarium, I was constantly, anytime I'm in an event, I meet people all the time that are like, man, I'm a writer, but I just don't know how to get started. I just don't know what I'm doing. And every
Well,
time I'm like, I know exactly where you need to go. Let me
yeah,
talk to you about this event called Imaginarium because it's hard to describe to people if they've not been. But
right. It
I
is.
tell them, I'm like, wherever you are on your journey, Imaginarium's the place for you because if
Yes.
you're further along and you have insight to share, man, there are people that need to hear what you've got to share. If you're a
Hmm.
newbie and you don't know what you're doing, there are a million people that used to sit where you are that know how to get you out of that space and onto, into your first few steps down that path,
And we'll
and
be
they'll help
glad to
you
do
do
it.
it. Sure.
And be
Listen,
glad to do it.
absolutely. I've got an audiobook coming soon that's I promise you is because of Imaginarium this past summer. I wasn't
Fantastic.
sure how to get that started. I wasn't sure what
Mhm.
my options were. And I sat in on a panel or I sat in on a workshop and learned
Uh-huh.
what I needed to learn to get that ball rolling.
That's
Um,
cool.
Fantastic.
yeah.
That's
So,
cool.
I love to hear those stories
Love
because
those
the
stories.
feedback, because
Yeah.
it's a lot, as you know, oh my God, I do the programming and it's a lot. Okay. But I have so much more that I could put on there, but I have to be very choosy and squeeze it into about 130 workshops and panels. And let me tell you that, it's not for lack of ideas because I got them and people pitch them, and I get so many great workshop pitches that it is ridiculous. So I carefully have to vet those, and I try to make sure there's a nice mixture. So you got your people that are starting out up until your best sellers.
sure.
Everything in between, and like audiobooks and thinking outside the box, things like that, and then plus the films and the games and different avenues that you can take your characters into, and search and do go into screenwriting. Carol Preflatish is award-winning screenwriter now. She went into screenwriting. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many different avenues. And then the craft of writing itself. I mean, character development, characterization, and plot and pantsing, and there's just it just goes on and on and on and on and
Sure.
on. Editing, and yeah, there's a lot. But yeah, I love to hear the feedback. I love,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if somebody
Yeah.
says, hey, you know what
Stories
was
like
missing? Tell me, because that's a hole I will definitely make sure I fill.
Well,
Well,
stories
that,
like that, yeah, stories like that are just great, and I really appreciate you sharing that because the proof's in the pudding when yeah, when you
Mhm.
see somebody come back that's done something that's, connected somehow to, a
sure.
Right.
relationship they made at Imaginarium or something they
Yeah,
learned
'cause
or the
I get there at
connections
the
or
end and
whatever, and it's
I'm
just
like,
great to hear that.
it is, because I'm like, Steven, okay, what am I missing? What am I missing here? Steven will go
Yeah,
down and look, and he's
yeah,
like,
you're doing a lot of
geez,
that.
and think about it, and I rack his brain, and yeah, so we make sure,
You
we
do,
got
yeah.
everything checked. Yeah,
Try to cover the spread, and, yeah,
it's a lot.
and someday, we might grow, up enough when we move to an even bigger venue and might get a few more panel rooms, and then it's gonna get really crazy because 'cause we're gonna have even
Yeah, it
more
is.
options to
Bring
fill
it
out,
on. I love it.
but it's
Bring it
alright.
on.
Well, we have a bit of a system now, so I guess we could do that.
I'm an insane person that loves programming.
Yeah,
If I could just do programming alone, oh man, it'd be crazy. Yeah, I'd have
yeah,
like 3 hotels at that
yeah,
point, and Stephen
fill
would
3
be
yeah. Yeah,
pulling
like,
his hair out. But yeah,
be like Dragon Con. Should,
yeah,
book up enough to fill up, like, 5 hotels.
I
Well,
love programming.
I actually not long ago I wrote a blog post about Imaginarium, and
Oh,
sort of the idea was, as difficult as it is in modern times to get along with people that are different, I found that every year at
yeah.
Imaginarium, I'm surrounded by people completely different than I am, and
Yep.
we all have the same goals in mind. We all have the same
Mhm.
Mhm.
sorts of things that we're trying to accomplish, and
Yep.
so all of those differences, all of the stuff falls away, and we help
Yes.
each other, and we lean on each other, and we encourage each other, and it's like, man, this is what the world needs to be like, because
Yep.
we all kind of
It's true.
focus on, here's this thing that we all see that we want to accomplish.
Right.
You've done it this way, I've done it that way, but let's learn from each other, let's help each
That's
other,
it.
let's encourage
You
each
know,
other.
I don't care what your religion is. I don't care who
Sure.
you voted for. I don't
Right.
care, what you believe, this or that or anything. We have a common goals, and that's what we're looking to,
Mhm.
and that's what we've always strived to do. And we, we have that no tolerance policy in place, and thank God, knock on wood, we've never
Well,
had
yeah, zero
a
harassment
major
policy. Yeah.
issue. If we did,
Mhm.
I would, take them to the door myself. But
Sure.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't even need security
Yeah, thankfully,
because
we've not
I don't
had
put
to
up with
invoke that.
bullying
Yeah.
for one thing, and everybody accepts everybody, and we want to keep that environment, where we lift
Mhm.
each other up. We're in it together. We are a
Yeah.
village of creatives, and we have, like-minded, and then we also have different views, which is beautiful, because
Sure.
once you bring that together, you get, it's like seasoned salt, right? You get
Right.
a little, zhuzh with the salt, and
Yeah.
and it makes beautiful things, and that's how networking becomes so invaluable.
Yeah. Well, in
Mhm.
a painting of only one color, it, no matter what kind of technical skill was used, it's not going to have the impact that something with all the colors.
That's it.
And and so I find that I don't know uh, what other people run into out there in the world.
Hmm.
Maybe Imaginarium is a special thing. I mean, I'm sure it is, but I don't know if other authors run into difficulty when they try to connect with other writers. But man, I have never felt that way at Imaginarium. It's always felt like home, like immediately. And so I'm constantly encouraging, especially new writers. I'm like, there's a lot. It's overwhelming. So just go and sit. Be
Mhm.
anonymous if you want. You don't even
Yeah.
have to. You don't even have to dive in and shake hands. Like if you're an introvert, just sit in a class, in a workshop, learn, soak in what you can, and it'll help you. I
Mhm.
promise.
Yep.
And you'll not be so introverted by the time you leave, I guarantee
Of
you,
course.
because there are many introverts there that, while they're at Imaginarium, are definitely not introverted, because they're like, oh my gosh, these people are like me.
Yeah,
I am
sure.
found by people. And
Because because we're all nerds about the same thing. So
yes,
It's kind
right.
it's kinda
We're
like
we're
that.
all nerdy. We all love all this stuff, and you get to talking, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you like that too?"
It's
Yeah,
kinda like
you
it's
know.
kinda like that old movie Brigadoon. It's kinda like this weird magical place that manifests once a year, and
That's
Yep.
then
true.
on, like, Sunday night, it's like it vanishes. It's weird
And
at the
it's
end
so
of that
sad.
weekend, and
It's so
it's
sad when Monday comes. It's so sad. It's like, oh, we won't see everybody for another year. I'm so sad. But
Well,
I
I got to
couldn't do
tell
it.
you,
Oh
I'm
God, there's no way I could do it twice a year.
no,
yeah.
God, no.
I was gonna say I'm not at all an introvert. Like I pick up a lot of energy from being around other people, but
Right.
by after 3 days of Imaginarium, I'm like, man, I just need to sleep for like two
Yep.
days.
Yeah, we
Well,
do
me
that
too.
for a couple of weeks, I think, after
Oh, I'm
nowadays.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
whole
I'm an
different level for
empath.
me too.
So yeah, by Monday, I'm like, and that's why last year I'm like, I got to the hotel and I said, please, can we stay one more night? Because I really hate packing up Monday and having to go home. And I am just I'm exhausted. So they're like, sure. So yeah, now me and Steve stay from Wednesday to Tuesday, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And by
That
Monday
is.
morning we're just toast, and
Oh,
everybody's
sure.
left, and we have had to be on all that time. And then it also, we can make sure our main guests, cuz like last year there was that big computer technical glitch that went on all weekend,
Right.
and some of our big guests, some of our Imaginators and guests of honor got, we had to screw with their plane flights and all this and make sure that they get on. And so, yeah, it helps out for us staying now
Yeah.
through Monday
Yes.
to make sure that, they're taken care of too. But yeah, it was nice to relax.
The only ones with energy are the cats. They're the only ones that
It
have
was the
energy.
first time in all these years that we've been at the Holiday Inn that me and Steve actually got in the pool. We
Finally got the
did
swimming
Monday
pool.
evening.
Finally got the swimming pool.
We did.
And it's a nice one. I do recommend it. It's a nice little
Mhm.
pool there. But yeah, so but yeah, but getting to you, I mean, Imaginarium is one of the areas where I definitely met you, and
Yes.
your work is just amazing, and I've gotten to know it really well because I got to which we're going to talk about in a minute here, but I got to do a blurb for you on a fantastic short story collection, and had the honor of giving you a blurb for your cover. And I never give those unless I absolutely stand behind everything I say about it.
Right.
And the other thing is, I've gotten the chance to work with you as your editor on a fantasy trilogy, and which I mean, but wow. I mean, I just can't say it enough. People, you've got to try his work. He's such a good writer,
I
and
appreciate that, but I have enough of imposter syndrome swinging that I feel like you're talking about somebody else. I got to say.
well, I'll brag on you then. I have no
There you go.
hesitation about that.
I
But
tell
yeah,
you, I
great,
know
great,
where.
great to work with.
I appreciate that. One more Imaginarium thing for me. Sorry, I know you're trying to steer us into
No,
my
go ahead.
side of things, but
I want
but
to talk
I
about
You
you.
are
Yes,
not making me
yeah,
upset at all.
well, my first experience at Imaginarium. Well, not my first experience. I went as a vendor my first year after moving here,
hmm
and
I
that was
remember
its
that.
own unique experience, and I really had a good time. And then I bumped into Tony Akery after that, and I said, "Let me ask you a question. How do I get in deeper? Like, what do I need to do?" He goes, "Well, be on a panel or something." And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll try that." And so I did, and I went
Yeah,
to the first panel, and I can't remember what it was. I feel like it was a short story panel, and so I had no idea what to expect. Had never done it before, and I go in, and I sit down. I'm the next to the last on this long table filled with people, and whoever was moderating that panel said, "I'm just going to have you guys introduce yourselves. We're just going to go down the line." And it was like after the first like two people introduced themselves, it was like multi award winning. I've written 37 books, and and as it's coming down the line toward me, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be so. And then we get to Lee Pennington, who is on that panel, and I'm just like,
nice.
and I'm like, former poet laureate,
Yeah,
state of
yeah.
Kentucky. Like, why am I sitting
Completely.
here right now? It was so funny. But
But see, that's the beauty. It's
That's the
because
beauty.
yes,
I
Yeah,
try to mix panels up like that. I know people say, "Oh my gosh, I felt so intimidated. I was
yep,
sitting next to like Lee Pennington," but
yeah,
then once we got to talking, I didn't at all. So, I realized
yeah,
we're all in the same boat. I'm like, exactly. And
exactly.
everybody has something unique that you bring to that panel.
yeah. So when they
Mhm.
got to me, I said, "Listen, I'm going to be honest. I feel more imposter syndrome now than I've ever felt in my life. All these people have crazy bios. I'm just a guy that loves to write fiction, but I will do my best to answer your questions." And then, of course, things came up that I could speak to, and I
Mhm.
participated in the panel. And by the
There you go.
time it was all over, one of the other panelists came by my table, and he was like, "I want to buy something of yours." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Are you kidding?" And he was like, "Yeah, I want to check it out." He goes, "I liked what you were saying about the thing, and I want to talk to you." And I said, "Well, that was the first panel I've ever been on." He's like, "Get out of here! You did great." And I was
yeah,
just like, "Whew," like,
yeah.
and so yeah, and that's why I encourage people all the time to participate, because it is a place where you can just feel safe to be at whatever level you're at,
Yeah.
to learn that you have something to say and something to bring to the party, and hopefully help somebody who's not quite as far along as you take a big step forward. And so it's been invaluable to me. And of course, aside from all the writing focused stuff, just meeting people, getting to know Sandy Linder, getting to know you two, getting to know different people, Stephanie Fieger, all these people that I've kind of gotten to know through Imaginarium. Those relationships are are so such a blessing to me. So
Absolutely.
aside from the work itself, like sometimes just having knowledgeable friends is a plus.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes. Some,
Hmm.
well, that give you positive and well, not always positive, but truthful feedback. You don't want people to blow smoke up your butt. You want
Sure.
people that's going to be honest with you, that have experience in the field, and that's going to be truthful with you and call you out if they see a lapse in a plot, or this character is acting completely out of character, and they're going to bring that up to you, and that is invaluable. And people got to learn to look past that as being it's not mean. That's constructive criticism, and you
Yeah.
need that. And
Sure.
and they're looking out for your best interest, obviously. You get those friends around you that are looking out for your best interest.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what makes your books even better and better and better.
And you need to develop a thick enough skin that you can
Yes.
function, because the industry is not for the thin skinned. It's just not.
No,
Yeah, there are
no,
going to
it's
be times where if you're not careful, you'll let the situation harm you, damage you, wound you in a way, if you don't know how to navigate it and just understand that. I mean, not to say that there can't be abuse in some of those situations if you're with a publisher that takes advantage of you or something. There are those situations out there, but for the most part, you just need to have a thick enough skin where you can take feedback and to know that not
Hmm.
everything you do is for everybody.
Right.
right. Not
You
everybody's
know,
going to love it,
sure,
Well,
absolutely.
no matter what you do.
yeah, it's something we talk about often. It's the art of finding your audience. You're not
Yeah.
gonna find a home for your books with every single reader, but finding your
Mhm.
readers, that's the key.
I'm
Or
hoping
your
that'll happen one of
or
these
your
days.
well, the quality of work that you put out, and again, I'm kind of
Yeah.
segueing a little bit here, and I tell you, when you brought that, once you talk about the short story collection, especially because the hardcover was beautiful. Holly and I both thought that was just gorgeous.
All that waits in the night. Yeah, that
Well,
actually
well done.
that was my attempt originally at doing something for Kindle Vella,
Hmm.
which has now gone the way of the dodo. they they
I
Yeah.
scrapped
noticed that.
that just
Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
Uh, but I found as soon as I started that I'm not good at serialized storytelling in the kind of way that would be beneficial for something like Kindle Vella. So as soon as I started, I was like, well, I need to figure out how to make this thing mine. And so I was like, maybe if I tell one big story, but every chapter is sort of its own story, then maybe I can make that work for me. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of what I did. And I dropped it to Kindle Vella, and it got absolutely no traction. Nobody cared about it. And so I was like, well, I want to do something with these. I don't want them to just sit there. Um,
Hmm.
so I decided to put that book together, and it was a lot of fun. I don't write horror all the time, but I kind of wanted something that was. I tell people it's my love letter to like the Twilight Zone and Night Gallery. Kind of, it may be a little bit darker than those things, but that's kind of where it originated in my mind. Um, to tell the little disturbing stories, and then as you work your way through the book, to kind of start to see that they're interconnected in a way, and to want to know more about what's happening there. And so,
Yeah, absolutely. And it was amazing to me. I mean, just how the flow was, as far as the stories go. I mean, they were all, they all could be read on their own, but there was a thematic connectivity between them that made it really nice.
yeah.
And yeah, it definitely worked for
And I,
sure.
it's funny because people that know me well in my personal life, that if that's the first book they pick up of mine, they're like, wow, I don't know what to think of you. They're so, because
Yeah,
I'm such I'm such a happy guy that they don't expect, dark stories and whatever. And
right.
I'm like, but I've always loved that.
Surprise. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
surprise.
Yeah. There's some depth here. It's not much, but there's some. Um, but that's, my oldest kid, that's kind of our playground. We love horror movies. We love watching those things together,
Very cool.
and to this day, because my kid lives in New York now, and it's like that's text messages back and forth. Oh, I just watched this great horror flick, or I just read this, and that's kind of just so I it kind of worked well because I dedicated that book to my kid because that's like I said, that's kind of our playground, and it seemed like a worthy thing to
Very
kind of
cool.
dedicate that direction. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to say a quick shout out to the Fax Porcupine podcast who have joined us in the chat room. Great to see you here, and love to see other podcasts join us. We're
Yes,
definitely
hello.
supportive of other podcasts, and love to hear from you. So great to have you join us. But yes, I'll go ahead and give the blurb that I gave you because I think it does sum up this particular book very well. But I said, J. Patrick Lemarr truly delivers all that waits in the night to readers in this exquisite tapestry of horror tales woven with threads of the macabre, suspense, shock, and a creeping dread that interconnects a diverse and thought-provoking array of stories. And that I absolutely stand behind. Yeah, that is definitely, I think, a good descriptor of this collection.
Well, I
And
appreciate so much that you
yeah,
actually wanted to read the book,
yes,
and
very much so.
because I want to assume that everybody does that, but you can't be too sure, I guess, and I appreciate blurbs where I get them anyway, but like
Yeah,
it meant so much. I think for me, because I kind of knew you through Imaginarium and all that, to know that you were what I thought you were, if that makes sense. To know
yeah.
that
Mhm.
and so I really appreciated that. I wasn't like counting the days until I got that blurb because I knew that you were actually reading it and that I was excited to hear what you thought about it. And even if you had said, I can't give you a blurb, I would have taken that because that's part of that thick skin growing process,
Right.
and I would have accepted it. But it meant a lot to me that you actually gave me the blurb
Yeah.
and enjoyed the book. So
Yes, yeah, and absolutely, and I think it does sum it up very well. But yeah, just really well crafted, and yeah, your beats are great. Yeah, as far as building suspense, and yeah, you had some great shock value in the right spots, and not just shock for shock's sake, but just it fits the story very well. And yeah, it definitely appealed to me. And yeah, even some of my Clive Barker-esque kind of roots, it appeals to some of that. But it's really good stuff. I mean, yeah, definitely. So I know. You just it's a newer release, but just in time for the Halloween season. How's it doing so far?
it's doing well. That book is an interesting story because I actually dropped it in paperback back in 2022, sort of quietly, but I had wanted to do the hardcover, and I just didn't have the resources at the
Oh wow,
time, and
did
and
not know that.
so yeah, and
Huh.
so it kind of I was like, you know what, I want to do the hardcover so that I can actually give it the attention that I wanted to give it then. It's interesting because that and the Christmas Cabin are probably the two that most people have read,
Mhm.
and they literally came back to back as far as me writing them. I came out of writing those 13 horror stories and said I want to do something fun now. so I so
Palate
I turned
cleanser. Yeah, palate
yeah, so I
cleanser. Yeah.
so I turned my attention to where all that waits in the night is sort of my love letter to, like I said, the Twilight Zone, Night Gallery. The Christmas Cabin's my love letter to the Christmas movies I love, like It's a Wonderful Life and The Bishop's Wife, and you know all those sorts of magical, innocent Christmas stories. And so yeah, it was for like you said, it was a palate cleanser. It was I spent enough time in the darkness. Let me do something more hopeful and light. And those two, for whatever reason, seem to connect the most um,
Well, it,
to
it
different
got
readers.
recognized just the other day. You made a post that I was elated to see. You got high praise from none other than Diane Mills, who we got to know last year as
Nice.
our guest of honor at Imaginarium, and just as phenomenal, and has a list of awards that goes about 10 miles long as far as her career. I mean, she is, I mean, truly top tier, and heavily recognized nationally. And yeah, I mean, you got a heck of a praise from her on that one, the
That was
Christmas
such a
Cabin.
that was such a surprise too, because I had moderated the panel that she was on Sunday, like you said, the final day of Imaginarium this past summer, and I was scared to death because you were putting. It was my second time to moderate a panel, and you put the guest of honor in my clutches, and I was like, oh no, what's going to happen now?
You're welcome.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thanks, Holly. But
Merry Christmas in terms of the Christmas
I
canon.
knew you could do it.
well, I tell you, I had the best time with all of the people on that panel, just getting to know them, Kathy Jackson and Hallie and all those people that really were so sweet to me. And it was such a pleasure to get to know them and what they were doing and hear their stories. And so I gave them each a book, just as my thanks. And then I gave a hardcover of the Christmas Cabin to Diane, and I just said, listen, I just want to give you this, with my thanks for being so kind to me this weekend.
Oh,
If you have any pointers for me, you will not offend me. I want to hear from you. I want to learn from you. And she said, email me when you get home. I said, okay. And she made sure we got a picture together and stuff. And so I emailed her the picture. And then I honestly didn't think too hard about it. Um, she had told me, I'm looking forward to reading your book. Well, I know myself, I have a giant pile of to be read books,
yes.
So
Yeah,
um,
we all do. Yeah.
yeah, so is she going to read it? When's she going to read it? Like, I didn't think too hard about it, and I wasn't going to be offended if she never read it. Like it was just my gift to her, and if she did read it, I was hoping for like input as far as how I can do what I do better. And so when she messaged me, I thought, okay, maybe she's got some pointers for me, and she was like, "Hey, I loved your book. Can I recommend it uh,
Mhm.
to my people?" And I was like, "Yes, please. I will.
Heart
I will
attack.
take that. I will take that recommendation."
Yeah.
But it was such a cool story because she said she had been putting off reading it until because she wanted to be closer to Christmas, and so
Oh,
she had it on her desk, and she had gone to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor had put drops in her eyes, and she was upset because she wasn't going to be able to get any work done with drops in her eyes. And she said, "I just happened to notice your book sitting there, and I opened it and saw that it was large print."
oh,
Because the gift edition of that book I made sure was in large print. It's more of a coffee table kind of thing. And so she said I picked it up and was like, "Oh, this I can read." And she said it was such a cool thing to get to just spend time in your book when I couldn't do anything else for the day. I just kind of dropped into your book, and yeah, it was
oh.
very very kind of her, totally unexpected. Um, and I don't even really know what to say about that.
Well,
So,
congrats. Yeah, I saw that post, and we got to know Diane a bit throughout the last several months, and I can definitely say that she's not one to just throw out praise like casually or anything like that. I mean, she definitely is a very much a straight shooter, and I'll tell you what she thinks about something, and definitely that kind of person. So yeah, you definitely made an impression. There's no question.
yeah.
That's
Well, she's
great.
a
Yeah.
Texan. I would expect no
Yep.
less.
Yep. She is through and through. And yeah, just a wonderful. Yeah, we loved working with her. But I was just thrilled to see that post. I didn't know that was kind of percolating in the background. I didn't even know that you'd given her your book, and so that was kind of a cool
Yeah,
surprise for me to see.
she gave me one too, and I feel bad because it's there in my TBR, and now I feel like I've shortchanged her in this deal because I have not read it yet. But I got to get to that. I've got one of Sandy Linder's books waiting to be read. I've got
Yes.
one of your books waiting to be read. I've got
Yeah.
Diane's book waiting to be read. I just need some time.
Well, I know you're going to love Sandy if you have a copy of Silver Bells, if that's the one that you have. I don't know which book you
I
have, but
don't have that one yet,
that one yet, but yeah,
but
that's good to say that would appeal to your love of the horror side and things like that. Yeah,
Christmas.
sweet,
Yeah.
and Christmas
sweet. I need to get on that. Yeah,
blends it perfectly. Christmas and horror, yes.
that's great.
But yeah, it's great stuff. But yeah, definitely. And yeah, and I also appreciate that my book has not gotten tossed from your TBR pile. It's still in there. Good. That's
far
good.
far from it. It's sitting right there next to Sandy's and
However,
Diane's because they're at the
just
top of my.
understand, yeah, it is
Well,
not a
that's a
the one you
privilege.
have from me is the one you have from me is not a Christmas story though.
Well,
No.
that's all right. Like I said, I'm a horror fan, and
Yeah,
I've read all kinds of I love all the
yeah.
genres really. So
Yeah, but, yeah, I think your son would if he's into the, a lot of horror films and stuff would dig that one too, but yeah, I know how you feel, and I'm definitely looking forward to the holidays in one sense is that I'm done with all the run of live appearances and stuff, and things cool off a little bit around Christmas, so I'm definitely gonna take advantage of that for reading myself, so hopefully you'll also get some time to enjoy the reading side as well, 'cause we all need that as
yeah,
writers. Yeah, we
yeah.
know we all need.
My wife is currently travel nursing, so I'm handling all the kid driving to and from school and after school events and all the things. So while I'm trying to write and I'm trying to go through the edits that you gave me, and
I
try to
salute you because I went
Yeah.
through a taste of that. I didn't do it, probably as full throttle as you did, but I did get a taste of it in being here by myself with all the grandkids when Holly was in Indiana. So
right.
the
Yes.
house remained intact; it did not burn down. So I consider that a success. I
No,
got
the poor
that's
mom was trying to work and trying to help with stuff, and yeah, thank God she does not like to cook, and so she had to take over that position while I was gone. But they all managed, and the house did not fall in.
right.
I'm
Well,
shocked, but it
Hey,
did not fall.
under my expert supervision, yeah, all stayed intact.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they are homeschooled. So,
Yeah.
I usually take care of the homeschooling. And so, yeah, we have a great computer program for them. Thank God, knock on wood. But, there's still times when they're like, Mammy,
Yeah.
I don't understand this fraction. I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand. I've watched the video 6 times. I don't get it. And,
yep.
things like that. So we have daily questions with all that. They're in 3 different grades. So, yeah, I have to
And
stop
then
and we
and
have to
then
figure things out.
the most exciting part of the day when Steven emerges from his writing room. Everybody gets really excited.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, there
Yes.
he is.
They're in the
There
middle
he is.
school
There he
and
is.
El Padre comes out of the writing room and
Mm,
oh my Lord, I'll be in here trying to do something in the bedroom and I'll hear the ruckus out there. I
every day.
know when he comes out because it'll be quiet. They're doing their work, and then here comes Stephen and then they're all like, oh no. And then they all get excited.
Isn't that cool how every day I get that kind of greeting when I come
Yeah.
out of my writing
That's
session?
right. That's right. You're like a pop star. You just
Yeah, big,
Mhm,
adulation from
mhm.
every angle. Yeah.
exciting, enthusiastic,
Adds his
real
own
happy.
posse.
Yeah.
Do you ever just sign one of their foreheads just for fun, like you're?
Oh my God, you should. Used to do that to Addison.
Oh
Oh,
god,
it's pretty funny.
she'd be not amused, but
And their
It would.
mother, Beck just loves you. And she's like, I just want to read all the J. Patrick Lemarr books.
yes.
And she,
Oh, yeah,
Well,
she does.
she just
that's
supports
awfully
you.
Yeah, she
kind.
does. She's a big fan of
She's a
yours.
big fan. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish she coulda actually been on the show tonight, but yeah, she's definitely in a,
Yeah,
uh,
she had to work over.
quite a work schedule lately because 'cause they're in a holiday season down there at, what is it,
Bath and
Bath
Body
and
Works.
Body Works. I always get it
Gotcha.
confused with the other store, but Bath
Yeah.
and Body Works. Yeah.
Well, that's very sweet to hear. I feel like I'm just kind of hitting the place where enough people have read here locally, at least, some of my stuff, or they've seen me places that I'm starting to get. Oh, I see you down at the coffee shop working on your books,
Yeah,
and
Oh, yeah.
that kind of thing. So
nice.
it's nice to connect with people. I love doing events, not just like Imaginarium, but even like some of the craft fairs and
Those
I'll be at from the ground up books and in
yeah,
December, and I love doing those kinds of events because just meeting people, hearing their stories, shaking hands, and kind of finding out what they like to read, and because I know so many authors, it's cool too because if I don't write in the genre that they want, I can point them in the direction of somebody that I know,
mhm,
Right.
which I would hope people would do, in return. But it's like, yeah, I've recommended, Steven, I've recommended Diane Mills, I've recommended, depending on what genre they tell me they are into. If I don't have it and can't help them with it, I try to point them to somebody who can.
yeah. Yeah, you keep on running into people that know me too at all these events you go to.
Yeah,
Cracks me
it's
up.
It's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, like your neighbor at the craft fair that like knew who I was, and I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
she
That's
got your
hilarious.
name. She got your name wrong, but as soon as she
yeah.
said it, she was close enough that I knew she was
Mm.
talking about you.
Now a lot of
And
them say Zimmerman, and
That's
you get
yeah,
a lot
accurate.
of
that's what.
Zimmermans.
That is
Yeah,
accurate though in my family history because my family was Zimmerman before they came across the pond to
Yes.
America, and then they cut off the end so they could avoid some trouble over here, and he became Zimmer. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, when they get, they get that wrong.
yeah, but it was so funny because I had just had that interaction at
Mhm,
uh, at the Lagrange store from the ground up with people that you knew from back in the day,
mhm.
and then I had the craft fair the next weekend and ran into somebody talking about you. And I met
That's,
Jen Solinsky at that same fair. I hadn't
yeah,
met her at
Nice.
that's
Imaginarium any
awesome.
of the times. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that is
it's kind of
cool.
it's kind of crazy how many of us are just floating around and you know
Yeah.
travel in the same circles. But
And craft fairs and pro tip for authors that are listening, do some of these craft fairs. Let me tell you, when you do a kind of out of the box thing, not I'm talking about not a author's event, specific event like a author's fair, like a bookstore, things like that. Sometimes when you do the out of the box kind of events like a craft fair or like what we did at Books and Bourbon at Kroger recently, I mean, you end up, oh boy, do you sell books. You really do. Sometimes those are extremely successful events when you do some of those. Yeah, and I know those are a lot of fun to do, especially yeah when you're surrounded by all kinds of other kind of vendors and stuff. It's pretty interesting.
yeah, well, the first one I did because somebody recommended I show my artwork at one of these craft shows, and so I thought, well, if I'm going and I don't really know how to talk about the art and I don't really know how to do that, so I'll take a few books and I'll just have a few books on my table. Um, and then if somebody's not interested in art, I can kind of pitch them on the books. And I sold through like all the paperback copies of the Christmas Cabin I had on me that day.
Nice.
Didn't sell a piece of artwork all day. Nobody
You
cared about
just
the
can't
art.
predict. As I said, that's one thing. You think you're going to sell like massive amounts of this or massive. That's
Oh,
like
you can't predict
we
it.
had a
You
book
can't
thing
predict it. Yeah.
a while back, and Steven sold like an old series, the whole series. Bam! They bought all the books. We're like, okay, because we don't take a bunch of extras of that one because he's got so many new ones, right? Newer.
Right.
And so we're like, what the world is going on? You
Mhm.
just can't predict. So
Never
it's
predict
Right.
it.
always good to have, the full spread at least on hand because you never know what people are going to want.
Well, that's why I put out that poetry book a couple of years ago or a year or so ago because I had so much poetry floating around, and anytime I tried, I had an older poetry book. Anytime I tried to like move people away from it, they would be like, "Well, what's this?" Like, "Oh, that doesn't matter." I'm not a
True.
poet.
You
It's
try
just
to
a thing,
discourage them, and then they want
and
makes it
they
worse.
want it. And I was like, "Well, I'm just
That's
going to
what we need to
lean
do.
I'm
Now
like,
we
I'm
get
just going to lean into that, and I'll put my book in a cage and tell people they're not allowed to have it.
yeah,
And that was the
exactly.
thing at last year's, not this past year's Imagineering, but the year before. It was like people kept coming by the table going, "What's this about?" I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Don't pay that any attention. We're here to talk about fiction. Let me tell you about my fiction." They'd be like, "Well, what's that?"
yeah. That's it, Holly, right there. We and from now on, we gotta tell people, no, you don't want any of these books. You do not want to look at these books. Please don't pick these up. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
do the. He is onto something. Reverse psychology here.
Why I put those books in if you remember, I put them in a little dog crate, so it looked like a little
Mhm.
jail cell, and I had
Uh-huh.
I had the chalk outline of a body inside that cell that said poetry in it,
Nice.
and it was just, and people were like, but why is, and I'm like, but I'm not a poet, so we don't pay attention, and it was so funny. SG Blinn, who was new that year to Imaginarium, she and her husband had a table down from me,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I said, let's swap books so we get to know each other because I feel like I'll get to know you better by reading your work.
Right.
And I said, you come by my table and grab something. And she was like, really? I said, yeah. I said, what do you want? I said, what do you want? And she goes, well, you know what I want. I want the thing you tell me I can't have. So, okay. So she took home the poetry book because that's what she wanted.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, Holly, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we'll definitely have to retool our pitch to make sure we discourage people from buying books now, so we can sell more.
I'm not sure it's a flawless plan, but for some things, I think it has some merit. So,
That is
It's
good.
awesome.
That is an awesome story. But I mean, you have a variety of titles now, though. I mean, you it's it's definitely a point where yeah, you do have different things to offer different folks
Yeah.
as far as readers go. So
Well, I'm
you
trying to
definitely got
put
that.
out, I've just started doing the short stories where I'm putting them out as kind of singles for like,
Hmm.
$5 or whatever, because, sometimes somebody's passing by your table and they don't want to drop $15 on you if they don't know you.
Hmm.
So I was like, well, let me have a few things that I know have connected, a few short
Hmm.
stories that I know have had some impact, and I'll offer those at a lower
Hmm.
price point and give people an easy on ramp to kind of get to know me and what I do.
Yeah, that
And I found
helps.
that's
Yeah.
helpful. Yeah, for sure.
Because I ended up doing that with my novellas. They originally we had released them in print only in compendiums, and then I made the decision to release them individually. And then all of a sudden, I have a something I could offer for $10, and it really does. I mean, it really gives people an option to try you out without having to shell out a lot of money. The
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and
it
I
definitely.
understand that. I seldom have enough extra cash to just throw away at something on a whim if I don't know that I'm going to enjoy it. And having done both the art and the writing thing, that is the main
Mhm,
difference, right? If you look at a piece of art, you know immediately whether you like it or not. You,
mhm,
you see it, you know whether you like the colors, you know whether you like what's happening on the canvas or whatever. That's an easy buy
mhm,
or pass. A book is an investment of time as well as money, and trying to get people to give you that shot. I don't take that lightly. If somebody's going to roll the dice with me, I want them to enjoy the ride. Even
mhm.
if at the end of it, they're like, "Well, this is not my thing." I want them to at least enjoy, getting to that place and hopefully walk
Right.
away feeling good about their purchase, if nothing else. So,
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, without doubt, and I'll brag on you. You don't have to. Don't worry. Your writing is top notch. I mean, it really is. So they are going to get that for certain. I mean, they're going to get well written stuff. This is not a like some stuff you encounter in the modern indie world where somebody threw up a first draft on Kindle to release it real quickly. It's yeah,
it's
not
my
not
wife's biggest pet
not
peeve. Yeah.
not that kind of problem at all. Yeah, your stuff is very. I mean, I was like, wow, you're when I first started going through the first book I'd worked on for you as an editor, I was like, yeah, really clean copy, and that of course is great because that makes me have less things to fix, so I can really look in detail at everything.
Well, you
So
you
that's
still found plenty of things, my friend.
yeah. You're always gonna
I'm
find something.
still.
You're always. I mean, Holly always finds things with me. I mean, and
Oh yeah, I'm still
I go through
growing, and
everything
I own that.
painstakingly. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so I mean, yeah,
Yes.
that's normal.
yeah,
I mean, you're
and
always gonna
that's
find something.
yeah. I think the truth is that
Yeah.
we're all wherever we are in our journey, we're all still growing. We've all got stuff to learn, and that's
Yep.
why it meant something to me to have you edit something for me because I know your reputation. I know, and I just felt like I need to step up the editing side of things to make sure that what I'm putting out there, because the thing that you've been working on for me is kind of the hub of the wheel of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are
Always
going to
is good.
connect to that, and so
Always
I
is
felt
good.
like, yeah, I felt like
And I
you'd
don't know
have
how much you
insight
want.
for me.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you want to are willing to talk about that trilogy because I'm just aching to mention a little bit about it because it is. Wow, is it good?
Well,
Yeah, it's
you
such a
say what you want, and I'll tell you to shut up if you're out of
well, I'll just say just it's such a neat story with the time shifts and time bends of the characters. So it's yeah, and you have characters that are at different instances of their lifespan, at various points, kind of intermingling and going on adventures. So it's got a complexity to it, but it's also fascinating at the same time. So they're all in cases where they're almost like meeting instances themselves and things like that. So it's just so cool how that works with the time jumping and all that.
Yeah. And I've got
Yeah.
those three, I've got three characters that I keep coming back to. And so a lot
Mhm,
of times they may appear in a short story just as a walk on. They're
mhm,
not there for the whole story. They're just there to have an interaction and then they're gone. And sometimes I point that out and sometimes I just kind of leave it to the reader to pick up on. but there's a lot that's already written that hasn't come out yet that's going to connect to those stories, and there's a lot of things that are out there. Some of them popped up in All That Waits in the Night. One of them pops up in The Christmas Cabin, and all of those things, are part of the larger world building that I'm doing. And it's fun for me to, kind of move around in their timelines and catch them at different places in their growth. And
Yeah.
I've got that pesky wizard character that is,
Yes.
he's a handful. And I when we see him older, we see that he's settled down a little bit and kind of learned, some
Mhm.
things. And then it's fun for me to, after I've written something with him, at that sort of point, to go back and write the sort of young, rebellious, won't listen to anybody wizard that he was. And so I get to, jumping around in time gives me the chance to play with those sorts of things, which is a lot of fun.
And there's so much depth in it too. It's like with the kind of cosmic element, the big picture element,
Yeah,
the depth of it and you do it in the motif of a library. It's so cool how that works. And I don't want to go into that much because I know that's a
sure.
big part of the story, as far as spoilers go. But I mean, just the use of a library as kind of like a epicenter for the cosmic aspect. That
Well,
is
and
really cool.
I won't say much about that, but I will say that for me, the draw there was that if I structured my world building in such a way that I could make it where I can write whatever kind of story I want to write and still include the characters that I'm building. So I can I just finished a sci-fi short story that features one of the characters from that trilogy,
Cool.
there to do a job, and it fits with
Yeah.
everything because the library
Mhm.
allows for that. So yeah, that to me was I didn't ever want to be stuck in a box where if I wanted to write horror, I wanted to write horror. If I wanted to write sci-fi, I wanted to do that. I've written a western that features some of those characters. So
Nice.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to build out my world in such a way that I wouldn't be constrained by any particular genre. And I have a lot of fun learning genres. I have a lot of fun deep diving into things to try to pick up. I want to write a murder mystery. I've been reading a lot of murder mysteries, because I want
Yeah,
to try to dig into that. And
sure.
some of those some of those old, like, 1920s murder mysteries, I've
Mhm.
learned so much from just reading, how different the approach was then than what the approach is now, and yet they still have the same sort of
Yeah,
skeleton underneath it.
sure.
So it's a great way to bounce around and try new things.
Well, I mean, even in this, which is, categorized as a fantasy trilogy, I mean, you have elements of other genres that are all throughout the 3 books, and, yeah, I can definitely see that, and so, yeah, it'll appeal definitely to fantasy readers, but for sure, but, yeah, it'll also appeal I think it'll also be a good gateway for a lot of people that don't read fantasy, to get into fantasy because you do have elements that come from other areas, and I can sell this trilogy to Holly in one sentence. It has a talking raven.
Oh, well, I'm sold.
Yeah,
Yeah, I usually don't
he's
read, like, I don't read epic fantasies. Stephen knows that's not my my forte. But yeah, talking ravens, I'm in.
I think this is more. I don't know. Would you say it's adventure fantasy? Like it's not.
yeah,
You know.
hmm
Yeah,
yeah. It's
because
not
it's
epic. I
got that
wouldn't say
kind
it's
of
not. Yeah.
freewheeling.
Mhm.
We're on an adventure kind of vibe. Yeah.
It does, but yeah, there's definitely some layers to it with the library and then the fact of the time shifts and things like that. It's definitely got some nice twists and bends and things like that that'll keep you on your toes as a reader at all times. It's definitely not something that's gonna drag on at any point. So that's good. That's
Well,
good.
I do have. You say you're saying that you're reading a lot of, like, mystery thrillers and things right now.
Yep.
So, who
Yep.
are some of your authors that have, like, you think, the biggest influence on your writing?
Yeah.
Even though you're writing in the different genres, I mean, who are some of your influences?
The
Um,
roots of J.
the
Patrick
roots,
Lemarr.
yes.
Yes.
um, that's a big question because I've throughout my life I've been drawn to different things just depending on kind of what age I was and what I was into in that moment. But I would say standouts for me. when my mom had a stroke years ago, and I was, in the kind of in the rehab and in the hospital, spending a lot of hours in waiting rooms, which is a rough time for anybody.
Yes.
And where the rehab had a bookshelf, and it was the first time that I ever had read any Dean Koontz, and I ended up
Yeah.
really digging some of his work. Not all of it, but quite a few that I dug into there. I had read King. I love Stephen King. Old school Stephen King. Some of the newer stuff is hit or miss for me. Um, and so those are kind of the easy answer. Those are the big selling guys that I've been drawn to. There was a guy when I was a teenager that wrote uh, fiction in the Christian marketplace named Frank Peretti,
Oh
and I
yeah,
read
this
and I
present
read
darkness,
This
this
Present
present
Darkness. Yeah,
darkness, and all those. Yeah, good
those
stuff.
books were those books were big for me as a
Hmm.
teenager. And then, when I was really little, I loved the Choose Your Own Adventure books, which are not great
Oh
works of
yes.
literature, but they were so much fun for me
Oh
as a
yeah,
Oh,
kid.
yeah, we
loads of
love
fun.
those. Love
I
them.
did too. I did too.
That's
Growing
on
up.
my bucket list. I want to write one of those one of these
Oh,
days.
fun.
Nice.
But I want to make it fit. I want to make it fit in my world building. That this there's this Choose Your Own Adventure book that goes with everything else. So that's on my to do list. But
Nice.
yeah, and then just I've met so many authors now, and I know them, and I know what they're about, even if I haven't read their work, and that's kind of cool for me. Like I said, we kind of at Imaginarium and events like that, we kind of nerd out with each other about what we're doing, and it's always fun to see that passion in other writers and hear them talk about their characters and hear them talk about what they're doing and what their goals are, and how much fun they had. I tell you, uh, gosh, it's been probably been 10 years now. I had a friend invite me. We were still living in Texas at the time. I had a friend invite me to a day where they had local businesses and different career tracks, and it's just a career day kind of thing at a high school. And she was like, "Would you come and show the process for books, for how you do your books?" And I said, "Sure." And so uh, I at the time I was scripting a comic book for an indie company, and so I took some of my book stuff and I took some of the comic stuff to show the process, and some first drafts and some rough art and some things, and the best interaction I had that day, I had these two girls come up, and they were like, "What is this book?" And I said, "Well, this is some fantasy stuff that I've been working on." And she said, "What's this one?" I said, "Well, that's kind of the follow up to that." And I said, "I finished that and then immediately started on that." And she looked at me kind of funny, and she had it. She and her friend were pretty tight. They were hanging on to each other. She said, "Why did you immediately start the sequel as soon as you finished the first one? Why didn't you take a break and write something else?" And I said, "Well, it's probably going to sound silly, but the truth is, I wrote these characters, and then after I was done with the story, I kind of missed them, and so I wanted to spend more time with them." And she just
Mhm.
got this big grin on her face, like ear to ear, and she went, "I know exactly what you mean." And I was just like, whether you're a reader or a writer, there's something about the written word, and there's something about finding those characters that connect with us, that impact us in ways that we can't really understand. And she knew exactly, like, yeah, it works for me that way as a reader. If I finish reading a book, I miss those characters sometimes, and sometimes that means I reread the book, and sometimes it means I read the next book, and but I get it. And I said, well, it's the same for me as a writer. I just miss those characters and wanted to spend more time with them. So
Yeah, absolutely. I understand it
it's a great
completely.
magical
Mhm.
work that we do.
It
Yeah.
is. And it's fun to write outside your regular genre, you know?
Sure, sure.
Mhm.
It's neat to take that leap. And I think it helps stretch your creativity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we all need that stretch, right? We can all get comfortable and sort of grow stagnant, if we don't challenge ourselves and push ourselves. And um, I like a challenge.
That's right. That's why I'll embark on my new Amish romantic science fiction novel next. That's what That's gonna be the next project. But yeah, I did. No, joking aside, though, yeah, absolutely, I understand that 100%. And yeah, I mean, you. So let's. Yeah, I know We're going a few minutes over, but this is just great stuff. What's on the near horizon for you as far as releases, and what are you focused on right now on promoting? Because I want to make sure, yeah, folks know what to get if they want to try out some of your work.
Yeah. Well, as far as what I'm working on, I'm kind of going through your edits right now to to try to get those books ready for public consumption. Don't really have a release date on those just yet because I want to make sure I do it right. So I'm kind of going slow and taking my time with those. Um, but I've got a Western thing I'm working on. I've got a mystery, a murder mystery that I'm working on. I've got a sequel to the Christmas Cabin that I've maybe
Nice.
a third of the way through. Um, and and then I just recently put out that little horror short story, The Figure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and I kind of put that out to have a little short something available at the same time I dropped the All That Waits in the Night hardcover. Um, but because it's the holiday season, I'm going to be mainly promoting the Christmas Cabin throughout the end of December. I've got 3 live events. So I'll be December 7th. I'll be at From the Ground Up Books in Shepherdsville,
Shepherdsville.
12 to
Nice.
4. Yeah. And then December 14th, I'll be at the Sellersburg Christmas Craft Market here on the Indiana side of things from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then December 21st, which is that last Saturday before Christmas, I'll be at the LaGrange store for From the Ground Up, 12 to
Nice.
4. And so I'll be
Yeah.
signing the Christmas Cabin at all of those places. I will have some wrapped for gifts. So if you need a quick gift, I'll have some wrapped and with bows already on them, and you can just snag one and give it as a quick gift. But yeah, I'll be doing that. Those 3 places, and it's really I'll have the deluxe hardcovers for those, and I'll have the paperbacks as well. And then I'll have all my other books there as well. If you need a horror book for the horror lover in your life, or a short story for somebody else as like a stocking stuffer, I'll have all those things. So those will be the next places you can catch me, and I'll be looking forward to connecting with people and hearing some stories and shaking some hands and doing all that good stuff.
Yep, and LaGrange and Shepherdsville, for those of you listening, are very close to Louisville. So if you're in the Louisville area, those are pretty easy to get to, both of them. So yeah,
Yeah,
and of course, get to see our mutual friend Lynn Tincher, which I just love visiting with her. Had a
absolutely.
had a blast talking publishing with her on a panel this past weekend, and yeah, her bookstores definitely deserve everybody's support in this area because that's yeah, she's doing some great stuff with her pen crafters mentorship program and some other things. Yeah, she's definitely got a lot of cool stuff going on. But yeah, they're picking up a gift on right 21st. Wow, you're right on that cusp of people that forgotten to buy Christmas gifts. Then
That's right.
yeah, you're helping them out. The late shoppers like me, typically. Yeah,
That's
I'm
all
doing a
right.
little better. I'm doing a little
Sometimes
better
you
these
need to
days.
be deep in the feeling of the
Yeah.
season to be inspired to get that last minute gift. So I understand that. I That's why I wanted to have some wrapped and ready to go, because I feel like sometimes you're on your way to a party and you're just like, oh no, I forgot to get a gift, and you might need to snag a book that's already wrapped and ready to give to somebody. So
Yep. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. And so, as far as your platform goes, what kind of links and whatnot do you advise people to find you at?
well, my website's jpatricklemarr.com. I blog there. I post event things there. And anytime I've got anything new coming out, I do that. There's also a link to there to sign up for my email list, which I think I've gotten to where I'm down to like 4 times a year send something out. I try not to pester people via email. And then you can find me on all the social media platforms for the most part: Facebook, uh, Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called now,
Yeah.
Instagram, Threads. I think I
Yeah.
don't think I'm on Blue Sky yet, but that's probably coming because it seems like there's a lot of people there now.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of writers
yeah,
over there. Hmm.
so yeah, any of
Yeah,
those places, and it's usually just at J. Patrick Lemarr. You know, if you search for me, you'll find me. I'm sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And Holly, is there anything that, yeah, and also for you, is there anything that we did not cover tonight that you were itching to promote or talk about? Just to make sure we.
Oh, well, I think we've covered a plethora of things. Yeah, we've got where to contact you, where you're going to be. That's the main thing. Um, yeah, the future. You talked about future projects, what you got going on now. So, yeah, if there's anything that we didn't cover, let us know, and we will discuss it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope to be back at Imaginarium. I haven't decided whether I'm just gonna be there as and try to be there as a panelist this year, or if I'm gonna do a vendor table. I'm kind of still trying to work that out, but I definitely plan to be back. Next summer because I wouldn't want to miss out on that event at all. So that should be coming
Fantastic.
too once I figure that out.
Fantastic. Well, that's good news to end on. And if you sell 1 million books, then you can become one of our platinum sponsors.
That's right. That's right. Or
I'm
even if I
saying,
just win the lottery,
yeah,
even if that happens.
yeah. No, just having you there is great. Absolutely. And
Yes, it is. And I love the stickers. Carl Moore donated a imaginary guitar because we're in each other's rooms and room parties, and
Hmm.
Sunday night a lot of them come back to our room, and so we have this guitar that floats around. So he
it's
had
a good one.
donated an imaginary guitar
It's an
that we will.
Ibanez. It's an
Well, it's an
Ibanez. It's a
Ibanez
really
guitar
nice
acoustic,
acoustic. Yeah.
and we will be
Wow.
bringing it every year. Well,
Mhm.
it has a J. Patrick Lamar sticker on it.
It does.
Yeah, I
That
heard I made the cut, so
You
that's
made
good.
the
You
cut.
did, you did. It says, I've got this sticker at Imaginarium.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's great.
It's on the guitar.
It is on our official guitar.
Yeah, I think the sticker says I went to Imaginarium and met J. Patrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Yay!
And all I got was
Because
this sticker. So
It's great. Well,
I love it. I
well,
love it so much.
now he'll have to play a song and sing to us on the guitar now.
Yes.
Oh man, that's great. But it's been great having you on the show. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and definitely want to have you back sooner than later. To catch up again and all your
yeah,
new stuff coming
once
out.
those fantasy books are out, we'll have
Yeah.
to do a deep dive or something.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely.
Because this went fast.
It did. It did. Yeah, it flew by actually. But I
Yeah.
had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
Same.
So I will turn it over to Holly to close it out with you. But definitely appreciate you and keep up the great work. And yeah, folks, I can't say it enough. Give his stuff a chance. It is really really well written. And yeah, give any of these. Yeah, it is the Christmas horror stuff, fantasy, whatever you want. Yeah, just give one of his books a chance. And I tell you, you probably be hooked.
I appreciate it, brother.
So, all right,
Well,
Holly.
thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And yeah,
My
thank
pleasure.
you, chat room and listeners. We've got several new ones, and hope you come back and hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, we appreciate you all. And check out J. Patrick Lamar's plethora of books. And until next week, be creative, and we will join you next Wednesday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Another great guest, another great show. Good night, all.